Okay, it's working now. So now it is being recorded, so don't say something dumb. Cool. Let's make a file called, I'm just going to call it full CRUD, cd into full CRUD, and open it. What's the first thing I need to do now that I have a file that exists? I need to init, yeah. Okay. Sweet, now I have a package JSON. And I'm going to make an index.js. Why did I call it index.js?
Because that's what it's called in JSON.
Yes, in my package JSON, it says the main is index.js. I can change that if I wanted to. I don't really care what it's called, so I'll just name it the same thing it's called in the main. But if I really wanted to have an app.js, I could rename this app.js and create a file as app.js. But this is important. Name your files the right thing and have it named the right thing in main. Cool, now I have an index.js up. What do I need to do now? Now I need to install Express, yeah. So npm I express. Sweet, and now I have my package lock and my node modules, so I know it actually installed. And we have Express and our dependencies. Sweet. So now I want to actually use Express, though. What's the first thing I need to do? Yeah. Const express equals require express. Sweet. I still can't use it the way that I want to, though. So I need to do one more step before it's usable. What is that? I have no idea what you just said. You can use your normal voice. Like whisper. There you go. That was getting closer. Yeah, sorry. Let me get this guy down. There we go. And then yeah, we'll have equals 3000. That's what I want it to run on. And then what do I put here? Walk me through it. Nice. Good job, guys. You're killing it. Normally after a break week, everyone's brains are so dead that I'm like, what do I do here? And everyone's just like, I don't know. So thank you for actually remembering. Okay. Let's look back at our goals. So we installed and required Express, which is awesome. Instead of a JSON file, I'm actually just going to make an array inside of our index. Keep it a little bit simpler. So we'll say const data equals an array of objects. What should I put in these objects? Be creative. Nothing?
Wait, what?
What should I put in? I need an array of objects. What objects should I make?
Thanksgiving pies.
Thanksgiving pies?
I'm hungry.
Cars?
We just did carbs, so they're
Not
all
doing
very
cars.
exciting.
Superpowers that aren't useful.
I like one.
Yes.
What's like your superpower that you get that is not useful?
That's such a weirdly specific thing to come up with so quickly. Okay. Let's think of 5 superpowers that aren't useful.
It's kind of awesome.
Okay, just shout them out if you think of any.
Transform into yourself.
That's pretty good.
That's great.
Oh no. Oh yeah, it should be breaking. Okay. Form.
That was really good.
Get any disease at will. Disappear when people aren't around.
Okay, two more.
Somebody else, come on.
Yeah, those two are carrying you guys. Come on.
Being able to run too fast.
Too fast? What is too fast?
Control it. That is too fast.
Isn't it like actually
Too fast.
just too fast? But I still feel like that would be useful because that would still be faster than normal.
Way too fast.
You're able to move as slow as a sloth. The exact opposite of too fast. Yeah, there's like a literal superhero. That his whole thing is running fast.
Wash your car when it's muddy. I don't know.
Did you just start talking before you knew what you were going to say?
Ability to sneeze at will. Yeah.
Ability to sneeze at will?
At will.
I thought you said sneak, and I was like, that would be helpful. Okay, sneeze makes more sense. Sneeze at will. Wow, guys. Teleport 3 feet? That would be helpful, because you could just stand next to, like, a safe and just, like, into it.
I was gonna say.
Okay, if you think of any brilliant ones. Partially teleport? Oh, that was pretty good.
It'll teleport one body.
Oh my word.
That's so right. Teleport one body part.
So much no.
Okay, now let's actually write stuff. Now I spent like 10 minutes on that. So I want to write a GET request to all. Do.
Can you really need a favor and just like slap out that data that you just typed up?
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do. Where's my Slack? Do. Oh no, wait. Don't copy it yet. That would have messed up all the quotations in that, and it would have broken your code. Now it won't, though. So we're good. The real superpower is I didn't break your code. Yeah, there's a comma. Cool. Okay, once you have your data, we will keep going.
I'm not keeping where it is.
That's okay, it's recorded, and we're doing another one tomorrow. So. Okay, what do I do now? And what do these stand for? And yeah, next. Next is pretty self-explanatory. What is most important here, order or name? Order. Yeah, so you can name these anything you want. The first one will always be the request, second one will always be the response, third one will always be next.
Can you put a specific function in for next?
A specific function here? You can put a function in, I don't know if I have code up that I've put functions in. I do not. I'll show you after, but you can put functions in like right here. Like function. Yeah.
I think
Yeah, you can't like replace this with your own function, but you can have your own function run somewhere else in this line. Yeah. Do I need a fat arrow? Mhm. Yeah.
So isn't the first one, the first argument will be the arrow? Or that's just for the app use?
The arrow?
Yeah, like there's the.
Oh, I didn't do app.use.
That's the, just for the app use, or that's, I don't know, like, it seems to me there's the other four arguments, the arrow, request.
So error is only, so you want next in all of these. Error is, you put error in for your error function. So like if we go look at this error, doesn't have one, just kidding. But yeah, you only put error here when you're saying like, hey, this is the error handler. Errors catch here. Yeah. Otherwise error doesn't go here yet. Because we don't want our app.get to handle any errors at all. We just want this to send data, and if something happens, pass it off to something else. That's why we have next. Cool. What do I write in here? Send what? Bracket data. Yeah. And what happens if I just write data in here? What will it send off? What does the key value pair look like?
We'll send all of it.
It will send all of it, but I'm just putting one word in here. I'm not actually giving it a key value pair. So what's happening behind the scenes?
A property of name data with the value of the array.
Yes. So whenever, this is an ES6 thing, whenever you just put one word in here, it will make that thing the key and the value. So the key will be data and the value will be what's stored inside of data, which is our array. So that's why you can put data here. This is the same as writing this.
Question,
Mhm.
so on the, that kingdoms and castles exercise.
Ooh, yeah.
Which I know has some issues, but, many of the tests require you to have rest.status, and then, whatever number, 200, 201, that send, whatever.
Mhm.
Is that kind of more the standard for what you would do rather than just going straight to rest.send? Would you put your status in there, your status?
To the best of my knowledge, status and error handling is going to be passed down. So that's like the last thing that happens in your code is you'll write all of your GET requests, and if an error happens, it will be pushed down until like your 404 is found first, and then after that your actual 500 error is sent. So if something isn't found, like say for some reason, like in our, once we write our ID, if it isn't found, and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure you just write an if else, and if it's not found, next. Like just keep going, don't send anything back, and then it will eventually go down until it finds that 404, and it'll send the 404 out.
And so like sending like the it worked 200 status, is that kind of superfluous? Like,
Yeah, that's automatic.
okay.
That's something that they handle behind the scenes for us, so we don't have to send every single status. We just have to deal with errors. Because if you don't deal with errors and an error happens, it will never stop. It'll just like in your Postman or in Chrome when you try and refresh, it will just constantly spin and nothing will ever happen.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah. So usually it is not something you handle like case by case. It's something that there's two catch-all or a few catch-all in the bottom because these get huge. And we'll get into maybe tomorrow. Actually, that would be a really cool thing to do tomorrow. We'll get into writing specific. We'll get into kind of extracting our routes. So we'll have a routes file that will have, or a routes folder that will have different route paths in it. So like right now, we just have one data thing that we're trying to find anything for. But if we look at this one, there's routes and there's characters. So then they don't have to say /characters/ID. They just have to say, we just have to write /ID, but our code sees it as /characters/ID. So we'll get more into what this looks like later, but once they start getting huge like this, that's when you just have your error handlers that catch all. Because that would be so much code. That would suck. I would hate that. Cool. Okay, so now let's write a GET request that will get it by ID. How do I do that? In my path, what do I write in here? The dot dot.
I like that. Dot dot. Not that I don't like colons. I mean, colon's cool, but no dot dot.
It's no dot dot. But in my mind, dot dot is
My
that.
second favorite organ involved.
Your second favorite? That was weirdly specific. Okay, ignoring that, how do I?
I don't know if I can move on without knowing that.
Okay, let's pin that discussion.
Okay.
How do I actually make this usable? So right now I have colon ID, but how do I access what is in here?
Oh.
He's on to something.
Brilliant.
Rec.param.
Go get your degree. You're done. No. Rec.params? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say var ID equals rec.params.id. There's like a fancy way I can do the same thing. Does anyone know what it is?
Oh.
So if I do this, it's the same thing. Magic.
That's pretty.
Yeah, it's really cool. So if you're grabbing in an object the same thing that you're going to name it, you can just put brackets around it, and then it will look for ID inside of this and name it ID.
Nice.
It's really cool.
Do you ever use the method app.param?
App.param. I've never used it. That doesn't mean you don't use it. That just means I'm a front-end developer for the most part. So I prefer front-end, so I don't know the deep knowledge of this. Biffle really likes this stuff, so he gets more into like the edge cases. So you should ask him. Okay, so now I have the ID. I can use it. How am I going to use it? I'm just going to send the ID back. Just thanks for the ID. Here it is. You don't need any information. Filter. Okay. Let's do that. So we'll say var filter equals data dot filter. What do I want to do inside this filter?
Let's return if object.id equals our ID.
Let's do it. And let's just console log filtered. And let's also start up our server and download NodeMon. Ooh, I didn't do that. Let's install NodeMon. So let's say npmi.
You probably have it mobile, right?
Don't you need it in your dev dependencies though?
I mean, it's nice to have it there, but yeah, that's a good idea to have it there. But
So you can have it in your start script?
It's still yes and yes and yes. Like you want it. I don't. So either way, you still have to install it locally, but it's good to do what you're doing.
Okay, cool.
I think unless you figure out a way to not have to do that.
Right now I will do this, and then later on my own time I will figure out if there's a way around it.
I'm pretty sure anything you call from the command line has to be dash.
Has to be what?
It's all globally.
Oh yeah, it has to be globally installed first. But I think everyone has globally installed, so let's install it as dev dependencies too. How do I install something as a dev dependency?
Yay.
Oh. What? What did I do that was silly? Oh, I don't think it actually does anything. I think it's just like what we're most comfortable reading is this way. But I think it can go either way.
That one's really important though to do save dev because you don't want that in your dependencies. Like,
No.
yeah, you wouldn't want that to be installed on the road.
Yeah, NodeMon is one of the most important ones to have dev dependencies on. Cool, so now I can actually say npm run dev.
Yay.
And it will run that for me. Only because I put this dev start script in here though. Do not put nodemon as your start script. Put it as something else. Dev is what I've always seen it as, but you can make this anything. But if you run it as your start script here, it will break when you try and deploy it because Heroku, which is what we deploy on, will look at your start script and try and run nodemon, which it doesn't have. So it'll break everything. So let's grab a browser. Yes.
It said I put the npm like install save dev thing or whatever. But it says missing script. Is that okay?
Missing script?
It says missing script dev.
Oh, well, you have to put your dev script in there. So I wrote this out. This wasn't something that automatically got thrown in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you also need to add start dev.js.
Yeah. So when I would if I was going to deploy this app, I would need to have an actual start script, which is start node index.js. Also, important thing, so you can just say npm start and it will run this, but if you write your own exciting one, you have to say npm run this. So dev,
Just now, or did you just randomly say that?
huh?
Is that what you were just saying?
Yeah.
No, I heard a little bit and then I was like, oh, I should say that to everyone.
Yeah, npm run dev is what
So you have to do, where did I put it?
But that's
There you
in
go.
a start script, isn't it?
Boo. Huh?
I can use that in a start script. The npm run,
Like have this in here, say npm run dev?
yeah.
You could. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say just type out npm run dev because it does not take that much longer. And it's one less thing that you could maybe forget about and break your code once you try and launch it. Because if this right here is npm run dev, when you deploy it to Heroku, it will break everything the same as if you had this as your start script. And Heroku, once you get into it, Heroku is kind of frustrating with figuring out errors. It's maybe my biggest enemy in coding is Heroku errors. And I always say best practice to keep things like as simple as possible so that if there is an error, you know it's not like some weird edge case like maybe npm run dev is in here. Cool. Okay, so we have our beautiful, beautiful data. And if we say /4, nothing will happen, so I'll quit that out. But if we look here, it gives us an empty array. That's weird. Why does it give us an empty array? We set it to get if 4 is equal to 4, so what's happening here? Yours shows 4? Do you have double equals or triple equals?
Because comparing a string to a number.
Yeah, it's comparing a string to a number. So if we throw double equals in there, it uses type coercion, so a string. So what this essentially is saying, 4, which is number 4, is our ID of our object, but it's trying to triple equals a string of 4 because rec.params is dot anything is a string. So if we do this, this will ring true, this is false. So now if we try it again, now we actually get the right one. We get move as slow as a sloth. Yes, so this doesn't work on the browser yet. All we're doing right now is console logging our data. I'm not actually sending it out. So let's send it. I don't really want to call this filtered because that would be weird. What do I want to call it? I'm just gonna call it superpower. And then it will be filtered. So now if I go through and try and go for 2, No, it takes care of that for me. It turned it into JSON. Cool. So now let's write our post. Now let's try and create a superpower. Do. What's the first thing I need to do if I want to create a post request? It could be multiple things, just like what is something I should do right now?
Define what kind of information you want from the body of the request.
Yeah, let's do that. So let's say var body equals rec.params. Wait, no, it's not rec.params. It's rec. No, it is rec.params.body. Never mind.
Now we want to create a new object
Create a new object?
for posting.
Yes. Well, so this is all gonna break. I was gonna go through and like let it break, and then we have to go back and fix it. But since I want to get to delete and possibly put, I'm just gonna say why it's gonna break. We don't have a body parser in yet, so the body we get isn't gonna be useful to us yet. We need to download a body parser, use it, and then we can start doing stuff in our post request. So we're gonna npm I body parser. Pretty sure it's what it. Let's check a package JSON. Body dash parser. There we go. That would have been bad. Cool. So npm I body dash parser. Here, I'll put this up a little bit so you can. And now if we look in our dependencies, we have body parser and express. Okay, so now let's actually use our body parser. So let's first require it. I'm gonna call it body parser equals require body dash parser. So now we have it, but we're not actually using it yet. So what do we have to run to make it use body parser? App.use. Now we're going to say app.use body parser. And I'm going to glance this other file to see the syntax because I forget the syntax of this a lot. There you go, .json. So that just it's just telling it to turn everything into JSON before we get it. So then when we try and access our body here, we will actually be able to see data. Okay, cool. So now I have the body of our post request. We're just going to assume that they put it in correctly and they gave us a superpower. So we just need to add an ID. So we'll save our new object equals an object with an ID of what? Every new ID is going to be 7.
Yes.
Dot length, body dot length,
Body.length?
or
Superpower dot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's data.length plus 1. So that will make sure it's always one more than we have in our array.
Quick
Question, so, the ref.programs, I
Mhm.
thought that only applied to the URL. Aren't you looking for ref.body dot something? To access if they send it as an object in the body of the.
I'm checking. Yes, you're right. It's rec.body.
And how do we check that? Pam showed us earlier.
How do we check? You can just console log rec, and you can go look through it all.
Is there a different way to do that? Because the console doesn't work on Microsoft and
Your console doesn't work in VS Code?
No, I'm using some janky Linux distro.
Linux. Another way to check what the body is,
What the rec is.
what the rec is. I don't know what to do without the console. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, can't you just? Here, let's try and. Oh wait, I can't console anybody. I won't know. Okay, we'll focus more on that after, and we will try and figure out a way to, I don't know, do something without console logs. That's tough. That's rough. Okay, so we now have an ID, which is going to be the correct number, and we want to have a superpower that is equal to we do that. So what they should be sending us and what we will send ourselves is a JSON object that just has a superpower and then the written out sentence of what the useless superpower is. So when you say, hey, the key is going to be superpower and the value is going to be superpower in the body, or you could probably, you could just try and put body here, but then that would mess some things up because that would be an object, so it'd be an ID and then comma, an object with a key value pair inside of it. We want one object. We want to mimic this. So we're going to say superpower is equal to body.superpower. Cool. And then we need to push this object into our array. How are we going to do that? Yep, and then now we have our new object inside of there, and we can send back so they'll give us something, we will get it in the body of their request. We'll grab superpower from their body and put it into our new object. We'll give them an ID, we'll push that into our new array, and then we will send them the object that we created with their data. Cool, let's test it out in Postman. So let's make superpower. What's a useful superpower?
Producing expired concert tickets.
Solid. Cool. So let's send that. And then we get a response, which is our new thing. The sad thing is as soon as we save anything in here again, it will lose it because we're using NodeMon. And we don't have data persistence yet, so that data will be gone as soon as we save again. Wah, wah. Okay, so we've gotten all the review part done. We have a get, we have a get with a get, we have a get all, a get by ID, and we have a post route. Now we want to actually move into put. We want to be able to edit something that is inside of our array of objects. So what do you think this is going to be? Just throw out a guess. What am I going to write here? Yeah, thank you. Okay, and I need to be able to put by ID. So we're going to do /ID because you can't put everything. You have to put a single thing. And then we'll have rec, res, and next inside of here. Fat arrow, and open up CRUD, please. Cool, so put is going to have to do two things. It's going to have to grab an element. We're going to have the same functionality as or similar functionality to our get request by ID. So we need to go find the thing by the ID. We have to edit the thing by the ID, and then we have to send back their edited version. Cool. So first, how am I going to get the ID? Come on, guys. We just did this. Thank you. Gold star to the back table. Everyone else up your game. So we don't just need ID. There's going to be something else that's sent in here that we need to grab. What is it? We're going to have a body. Oh, we were supposed to do delete first. We're just going to do put today, and we'll do delete tomorrow since you guys did it this morning. Sorry, I totally went out of order. It's my bad. Cool, so we have access to our ID and body now. What are we going? So all of this from this point on, I've not written a put request in a minute, and I also just got off break week, so my brain's a little dead too, so bear with me while I write this. But this is all just JavaScript. We just need to filter through the array, get the thing that we need, edit that thing, and then return the thing that we edited. So let's do it. First, let's filter through. So let's say bar filtered equals data dot map. Whoop, filter. That makes so much more sense. And we'll say object. So now I just want to see if I want to return if ID is double equal to object.id. I want to return it. Sweet. So now we have the rest we're going to write together. So now we have the right thing, and we have a body that needs to be the new body of this object. So what do we do to replace the superpower? Or okay, I said that weirdly. We have the thing that we need to change. How do we change it? We have the new info that needs to be stored in there. We have the old thing now. How do we put the new thing into the old thing? The new info into the object that we just pulled. Push wouldn't do it. So push would just add it to the end of the array that we already have, but we don't want to do that. We want to replace the item that we already have.
Like body dot filter powers.
I mean, could you do it in your original filter? Like, if your ID equals your object ID, then change superpower to new power? Or is that?
That's not really a filter anymore. That would just be like because filter has a really specific purpose. If we're trying to do more logic in here other than just like find this thing, you should just use a map. If you need to put an if statement inside of a filter, don't use a filter.
Filtered superpower equals or then the superpower.
filtered superpower equals new superpower.
Because you already have the object selected.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're just changing that one parameter.
Yeah, so we, inside of my filter or outside my filter?
You can do that outside.
Yeah, we should do it outside. I agree. That is why I led you to that answer. Sweet. Okay, so we have our thing, and actually I'm going to replace this guy with a find. So it's not going to give me an array anymore, it's just going to give me this single object. So filter will always return an array. Find will get the first thing that matches. So if for some weird reason we had multiple things with the ID of 5, and then we tried to put to 5, find would only give us the first one. Filter would give us both. So find is really good for just going by ID. So we could also probably change the one up here to find as well. So now I have filtered. Right now let's actually, let's console log filtered so we can keep visuals on what's going on. And then I'll write a little more logic, and then we'll try and run this function. Okay, so we have filtered equals data.find, return ID. So I don't know, because we do just want to change that one thing, but we want to change it not just locally in our function, we want to change it in the array itself. And so I'm actually going to peek at other code that I wrote when my brain was not as dead and see how I did it there. Hey, cheating. Characters not map if character. Oh, smart. Okay, cool. So they did it similar to how you were saying. They just had an if and an else, but inside of a map, because if you have an if, you don't need a filter. So I'm going to copy that. And we'll change this to an if. So if it is the right ID, what do I want to give them? What do I want to give back?
So then we want to do superpower dot, I'm sorry, data folder, object dot superpower now equals
Yeah.
would have gotten there.
Oh, so we actually don't need an else. And so after we change the thing, we're going to return opt. Nice. Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, cool. So if the ID is correct, change the superpower in the object to the superpower that we have in our body. And if that applies, return the object after that. And if it doesn't apply, just return the original object that we have.
Can you write that as a ternary?
You can write anything as a ternary. Actually, possibly. Well, we don't have an else.
Okay.
And this is a little more readable. So what I like to do for ternaries, if I have something like this, if I have something that's going to run to be true or not, I like to put it in an if else for readability. And then if I, like in React, if I have state that is going to be either true or false, that's what I'll throw a ternary in. If it's like, hey, if this is true or false, do this. I don't like, that's just like a personal preference thing of I prefer if something has to resolve as true or false, I put it in an if statement. If it is going to inherently be true or false, I throw it in ternary. Sweet, okay, and then let's give them back. Oh, so we just created a new array. So what we could probably do in here as well is we could say data now equals new array. So then the rest of our app would be updated, so it would have the correct info in it. Because right now, new array is local. So if I say data now equals new array, our global data is equal to the array that we just created here with our map, which has our new put object in it, or our edited object in it. Okay, let's try it. See if we broke something, because we might have. Okay, so I have it running. I'm going to run over to Postman, and I'm going to say put. What was the response? And we want to change the ID of 2. Oh, 2 to producing expired constant tickets. So let's see what happens. Oh, I put constant here. There we go. And now our ID of 2, the superpower is now producing expired concert tickets rather than contracting a disease at will. So to run through what I did, because I made a couple changes quietly. So we have a put request. It needs an ID, so we have it looking for an ID in our query string. Then we're going to grab the ID out of our rect.params, grab our body out of our request, because put request should always include a body. Then we are filtering, or we're mapping through our initial array of data. We are changing the object's superpower if the ID matches the request that we just got. And then we are returning all the objects that come through this map. We're setting data, our global data, equal to this new array that we just created, which contains the item that we messed with. And so up here, I had to change const data to var data, so I'd be able to reassign it. And then we are sending off data, which is how I got this whole array with the one change that we changed. Cool. What time is it? Yeah, it's been almost an hour. So,
So, if you are trying to, if I have like 2 key values in that object, like you have a superpower right now, and if I have another one, and if I want to modify the other key value, do I have to do it in here, or I have to create another put?
no, so you can change everything inside of an object. We only have superpower in here. So if we had like a rating of uselessness in there too, we could do both things inside of this if statement. We could just say object equals, or object equals this would be weird because it would get rid of the ID. But you could say object equals and then create a new object with the ID of that object and with all the new things you need. This is a lot, that's why we're spending the 3 days on it, and we will be doing another build and burn tomorrow, and we'll be hanging around to help today. Do not feel stressed if you don't understand put requests yet. Absolutely no pressure. Also, break week. Don't expect much out of your brains today. I don't know. I always got really stressed when I came back from break week because I thought I should feel like jump back into it, and it always took me a minute. So do not feel bad if it takes you a minute to get back into the flow of things. Okay, I'm going to talk through everything we did one more time, and then we're going to call it. So we first started off a project. We npm initted. We downloaded all the things we needed to download, which initially was just Express. We required it, and then we called it. We assigned a port to something. We made our data, which is just an array of objects. Then we wrote a GET request that sends just all of our data back. Then we wrote another GET request that goes by ID, and will send just the ID back. And we learned about this fancy new syntax. Also, have you guys heard syntactic sugar? It's like my favorite phrase. Syntactic sugar is the best thing. This is syntactic sugar. It's anything that's like a little bit, I don't know, fancy. That just makes like a spread operator syntactic sugar as well. Yes, it is. Tested. Tried and true. Okay, then we filtered through our data object to get the right objects back, which is the one that matches the ID that they asked for. Then we sent that off. Then we wrote a post request, which is when we had to download body parser, require body parser, and use body parser to turn it into JSON. Then we were able to grab our body from our request with our syntactic sugar, create a new object with an ID and with the superpower that they gave us, push that new object into our array, and give them back the object they created. Then we wrote a put request, which starts out similarly to a lot of the other ones we wrote, which starts off with just getting an ID, because we need an ID to be able to edit something. We need to know which thing they want to edit. Then we grab that ID, capture it in a variable, grab the body they sent us and capture it in a variable as well. Then we mapped through a new array, or we mapped through our array of data, and we said, hey, if the ID they gave us matches the ID of the object that's being mapped through right now, of the object that's inside of our map right now, change the superpower in the object to the superpower that they put in the body. Upgrade that to whatever they sent us, or update that to whatever they sent us. And then we return the object. So now we have a new array full of all the objects before with the one edited that we needed to have edited. If an ID matched. If an ID didn't match, it would just return them the original array. Nothing would change. Then we set data equal to our new array. So now in all of these things, when we call data, it will actually look at our array that we created rather than our hard-coded array. And then we sent back data, which is our new array. We did a lot. These things, if you feel a little funky on how these things are written, it's fair because we are messing with arrays and we will not be messing with arrays in the future. And so a lot of these practices that we're getting super familiar with now are going to change a little bit. Just so you know that. If this feels hacky, which I know sometimes it feels a little bit hacky to do these types of things, it is a little bit hacky because we're working with an array instead of a database. So once we work with a database, stuff will start to clear up a little more and you'll see the way things are going to be written in production level code. Cool. Good work, team.